I read some reviews and I was like, these people tripping, they crazy, this book is about to go. It went, it definitely went. It definitely went. It just didn't go where I thought it was gonna go. And I ain't too much care for that. This woman is pregnant. She got kids. And she lighting it up. Hey, what's up people? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Desmond Z, if this is the first time you've ever seen me. So this is time to do our monthly wrap up. These are all the books that I read in the month of May. And how many did I read? 15. Yeah, I read 15 books. This time I thoroughly enjoyed a lot more of the books. At least I think I did. If I'm just going right off the bat, we'll see once we get through all this. So we won't make this a long introduction. Let's just get right into it. Okay, so let's get down to business. The first book we're starting with is Wahala by Nikki May, which was actually published earlier this year. I think January, yeah, so at the very beginning of the year. All the characters, main characters in this book are biracial women. They have African fathers and white English mothers. These three women are like best friends, and when a fourth woman is introduced, all hell breaks loose for these women. Boo is enemy number one because she told Ronki that because none of the friends like Ronki's boyfriend Coyote, she told Ronki, oh, why don't you just get you a man that treats you right, or at least a man that's white. It was disrespect from the jump. So from the very jump, I had it out for Boo. I don't want to hear nothing else that comes out of her mouth. Because first of all, Boo is married to a white man. So she thinks, oh, Ronki, just get you a white man, he gonna treat you better. Boo, you're not even happy in your own marriage. You have a child that you don't want. You have a husband that you don't want. All you do is fantasize about just being free and being the person you were before you got married. Trying to figure out who that is and who you are now. And just dreading having to look after your daughter. Upset that she just is so much closer to her dad. So how is her getting a white man going to make it better when you're not happy with yours? No, what she needs to do is find her a man that's going to treat her right regardless. Simi is enemy number two, because when Simi introduces Isabel, who's the fourth woman that comes in and just wreaks havoc, when she first introduces Ronki to Isabel, one of the first things that comes out of her mouth is, oh, Ronki likes to date dodgy guys. She likes bad boys. She likes guys who treat her like shit, basically. First of all, if you're supposed to be my best friend, you introducing me to a woman I don't even know, a woman I've never seen before in my life, and the first thing out of your mouth is you dogging my man to her? Is you dogging my life choices to her? No, we gotta throw hands of principle. We gotta throw hands. These women should have never been friends in the first place. Forget whatever Isabel brings into this group. These women, it was filled with backhanded compliments, little digs at each other's lifestyles and life choices because no one is happy in their own life. Ronki is the only one who I partly was rooting for. And even she would say colorist things. And like all these people have this self-hatred and trying to assimilate to their white half, while they're steady going through things in their life where white people have let them know you are not one of us. Simi's boss pretty much treats her like shit and calls her the urban girl and only uses her for urban things, which we all know means black. Boo goes to pick up her child from school, and I think she's dropping Sophia off at school, and there's another parent, a white lady, who sees her with her daughter and assumes she's the nanny, rushes up to her. Hey, I'm talking to you. Can you see? Do you speak English? Pushes a business card in her hand and was like, oh, are you looking to nanny for other people because mine quit or I don't have mine anymore? And she says nothing. She says nothing. She lets this woman degrade her and judge her based off her appearance and doesn't even stand up for herself. But then you go down to the lunch table and want to tell Ronki, oh, get you a white man, or you ain't living your life right, and says so many other colorist things. Like, they're just, all these characters were horrible people. Isabel comes into the picture, and she's known Simi since they were kids. Her and Simi actually grew up together in Nigeria, and at some point, their friendship ends. So she slithers her way into this friend group and just starting mess, backstabbing one to the other, you know, gossiping about this one to that one, and just, you know, starting a whole bunch of mess. But take Isabel out of the picture. These three women should have never been friends in the first place, because all they do is talk shit about each other behind each other's back and give backhanded compliments and all that. So that was that. I just want to know, Miss Nikki May, is this how you and your friends feel about, you know, your blackness and or was this you writing this book to let people know, oh, this is what not to do. This is how not to be a friend. This is how not to behave as a biracial person. Because she said she wanted to see herself in a book, and I just hope that this is not a representation of who she and her friends are as people, because that would be very, very bad, because it was so much colorism, so much anti-black rhetoric going on within these pages. And yeah, so while I didn't like any of the characters, I only half liked one. I can't say that it was a bad book. It's just, it gives you a good example of bad people and what not to do. So did it still do its job? I think it just depends on the author's purpose. Was she trying to write an example of, you know, a good friend group? Or was she trying to show us a depiction of horrible people stuck between two worlds and navigating it badly? So if I use my own perspective and say this was a good depiction of showing what not to do and how to be a horrible friend, because I mean, everybody can't be a hero, so we have to show, you know, people doing bad things and like show the truth. Yeah, these characters were not who anyone should aspire to be. The jury's still out. I don't know. Alright, on to the next book that I read. The next book was Not a Happy Family by Shari LaPena. Is that how you pronounce her name? This book is like a domestic thriller, I guess you could call it. I'm not the best when it comes to like, when y'all be saying, oh, this is a domestic thriller, oh, this is a true thriller, that's a suspense thriller, and that's a family drama, and that's a, like, adult romance, YA, like thriller. Stick to the basics. Stick to the basics. Anyway, this is like pretty much a whodunit type of mystery book. There we go with another one. And this is about three siblings who are all accused of killing their parents after a horrible Easter dinner gone wrong. And I actually really enjoyed this book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did indeed. I'm switching it up a bit. It's not just family drama now, or just, you know, adults living their lives, you know, figuring out who they are as people. I'm now into thrillers and whodunit mysteries. I'm expanding. I'm growing. I'm maturing. You feel me? But anyway, Not a Happy Family. Yeah, okay, so basically, let me look at my notes. Because I think I read that early in the month, and I don't remember people's names. Okay, at the beginning of the notes, I did say, okay, this did start off a little rocky for me because there were so many characters just thrown at you at once. Like, I got this name and that name and this name and that name. I think within the first 3 sentences. So I was just thrown. I was like, oh, I can't follow along, girl. Who is who here? Who is who here? Because by the time I finish a book and close it, you give me 24 hours and I've forgotten half of the characters' names. I'm sorry. I'll remember big stuff, but I promise you I've forgotten a few names, and you have to give me a second so that I can explain it. But, okay, we have Fred Merton and Sheila, who are the mom and the dad. You have Catherine, who's the oldest sibling. Dan is the second oldest, and Jenna is the youngest. Now, these 3 siblings all grew up privileged. They have well-off parents. Their dad was a businessman who, I forgot exactly what type of business. Oh, he made millions in robotics. Yes, so whatever that means. And Catherine is married, and the middle, Dan, is married. Jenna is like the young one who just, you know, dates here and there. Every family occasion, she has a new boo. It can be a man, it can be a woman, it could be, you never know with Jenna. You never know. So, None of the kids actually like the dad. They just tolerate him. And he is necessarily not fond of his own children. The only one he actually really tolerates is the oldest one. And the mom is pretty much a doormat. He walks all over her, and she's on antidepressants, anxiety medicine, all this because she married to this hellraiser. They all meet up at the house for Easter dinner, and it goes horrible. Their dad starts, belittling everyone, and this whole big fight starts, and so they all just storm out like, we're gone, I'm done, leaving. Cut to the next morning, the housekeeper comes in, Fred and Sheila dead. Now we're trying to figure out who did this. Was it the housekeeper who found them? Was it one of the 3 kids? Because there was never really a good relationship. I didn't necessarily like anyone in this book either, but most of my enjoyment came from Dan just being an idiot. Because at any moment, Dan was gonna go off on some tangent. Dan was completely unhinged in the entirety of this book. I mean, he was gonna cuss somebody out at the funeral. He was gonna go off on people who accused him of killing, because everybody thinks Dan did it. Everyone thinks that Dan is the one that killed him because he has the most motive, because they cut him out of the family business. He's broke, living off credit cards. His wife is looking at him like, what we gonna do about this? And he's the one that always got treated the worst. So everyone thinks he's the one that's done this, and he gonna do whatever it takes to clear his name. And he goes about it in all the wrong ways by just being loud and in your face and doing all the stupidest things that you would think a person could do. So most of my enjoyment came from Dan just being an idiot in this book. I'm not the expert on whodunits and mysteries and thrillers and all that. So for me, not even being the biggest fan of those type of books, I enjoyed this book a lot. So take that as you may. I would recommend you read it. This is a book that, like, if someone said, should I read this book? I would say yes. I would say yes. Yes. I would give it like a 3.5. Like, actually 4. Actually, that's a 4 for me. That's a 4. That's a 4 for me. I'm sorry. That's a 4 for me. Yes. All right. On to the next book. The next book is actually The Mothers. The Mothers by Britt Bennett. Britt Bennett also wrote The Vanishing Half, which by sure pretty much everybody knows about. Most people love it. Most, if not all, people who read it love it. I reviewed The Vanishing Half in my what video was that? Oh, the video where I read every book from Insecure, the TV series. I'll put a link up here so you can check that out. I read every book that was shown or mentioned in the Insecure series. I had a lot of fun doing that video, and I read The Vanishing Half and fell in love with it. So the Britt Bennett's The Mothers, which is her debut novel, published in 2016, has been on my TBR since I read The Vanishing Half. The Mothers is based on this girl named Nadia, who we are with from the age of 17 until 25 mostly. There's some mentions of her life at various other ages, but mostly the bulk of the book is written 17 to 25. So Nadia's mother leaves this earth by her own doing. To say that, yes, she is no longer with us, and it was her choice to do that, and that's how she left us. Okay, so Nadia's only 17 when this happens. She's living with her dad, who they don't have like a bad relationship, but it's just kind of, they're just there together, just floating through and going through the motions. So what does someone who's 17, they've lost their mother, what do? They're hurting, so they're seeking for love in other places. So she hooks up with this guy named Luke, and this book is based in like San Diego area of California. And she hooks up with this guy named Luke, who is a preacher's kid. So his parents are, very churchy, and he has to follow these rules and all this judgment, yada, yada, yada. Nadia's only 17, Luke is 21. So, I mean, we're starting out, it's a little rocky there. Like, this shouldn't be happening. And she's like, well, I'm about to be 18. About to, almost doesn't count. The legendary Brandy's told us that back in the 90s, that almost doesn't count. So yeah, there's that. And eventually hooking up with this guy, she gets pregnant and she terminates that pregnancy. That's not a spoiler because it's pretty much in the synopsis and like it just sets everything off. So just know that. And so she's lost her mother. She is, you know, hooking up with this guy, gets pregnant, ends that. So Texas would not be fond of her. And yeah, so we go from there. In comes Aubrey. Aubrey is a girl that Nadia meets at the church. So Nadia starts working at the church as like the first lady's assistant or whatever. And also Aubrey, this new girl who's been in this town for a little bit, she's working at the church as well. They develop a friendship and pretty much become best friends. They're inseparable over this last summer between senior year of high school, freshman year of college. Once Nadia leaves and goes to college, you know, Aubrey starts hooking up with Luke, but Aubrey never knew that Nadia and Luke were a couple. One day Aubrey calls Nadia up and he's like, oh, you know, they got Luke, we've been spending some time together. She's like, what you mean spending some time together? Basically, dating, girl, we dating. So they never say, oh, we were an item. So we go through the years of Luke not being over Nadia, Nadia not being over Luke, and then Aubrey being stuck in the middle, oblivious to all of this. I don't really care about these people, but the writing in the book is good, and Britt is obviously talented and she's doing a good job, you know, fleshing the characters out, but I don't care about these people. Like, I didn't connect with them. And it wasn't because, like, I don't know what it's like to lose a parent, thank God. And so it wasn't just because of that, because I've met people and I've been friends with people who've lost that, and I know, like, I don't know what it's like, but I've seen, like, they have this, like, they carry this sadness with them that just will never leave, obviously, because they lost someone so close to them, the person that brought them into this world. And now there's like this dull pain that just is always with them. And that's kind of the theme of the book. That's what you feel. Everyone in this book just has like a little sadness to them. Like they are never really just happy. So I fell in love with the book after I finished it, because while I was reading it, I was like, I don't care about these people. I don't care about these people. I was like, yeah, Britt, Vanish and Half so much better. Like yeah, that's good. That's where you really just got in it. But as I talked it out and I was talking about the book when I finished it, I was like, wait, I see what was done there. I see what was done there. So I would give the book a 4. I would give the book a 4. I thought the book was really good after the fact, when I sat with it. It was a win for me. The next one was Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. I actually started that book like in March. Excuse me. I think it was like March that I started there, but I didn't finish it until recently. And I reviewed that in a previous video where I read and ranked 3 Tiffany D. Jackson novels. So I won't talk about that one here because I already talked about it in the previous video. Just know that I loved it, thought it was great. So if you want to check out the review for that, just click the link up here. Just know that was a 5-star read for me and I absolutely loved it. Moving on, Accidentally Engaged. Accidentally Engaged is a romance novel, and I haven't read a lot of romance novels. I said it before, I did a video on it, but they aren't like a regular occurrence in like my reading habits. But I don't know why I just felt compelled to read this one. Let me look at my notes so I can see what was going on here, because I don't remember. I be writing so much unnecessary stuff in my notes. Like, I be about to rewrite the damn book. Okay, Rena Mungie. Rena Mungie is the main character. Rena is 31, from what I remember. Yeah. Oh, now the light is changing. The light is changing, baby. Rena Mungie is 31. She lives in Canada. She is a Indian woman. She is the middle child. She has an older brother who's very successful, does everything right. She has a little sister who is very annoying to her. They aren't really close. And of course, she has 2 overbearing parents. So her parents pretty much have set her up to be married. Not an arranged marriage, but they want her to meet this man, see what happens, you know. But one day when Rena is leaving her house, her apartment, she runs into this guy in the hallway. And they like have a little flirtation going on. Well, I don't even remember his name. She runs into this guy named Nadeem in the hallway. unbeknownst to her, Nadim is actually the guy that her parents were going to set her up with or whatever. So in the first half of the book, like, nothing actually really happens. Nothing actually really happens. And yeah, I was just going along with things. Like, I feel like, just like I said, in the mothers where life was just happening for them, they weren't actively doing anything. That's how I felt about that book. Like, that book was just happening to me. Like, I wasn't invested in anything. It was just happening. I was just letting it happen, and we were just going with it. But it picked up, and I thought it was cute. It was fun. I predicted the ending, and I can say I enjoyed it. It was cute. That's really all I have to say about the characters. It was cute, kind of predictable, and yeah, I don't really have much else to say about that one. Let's move on. Okay, the next book I read was Crossing the Line by Kareem Rosser. This book was actually nonfiction. It was an autobiography by Kareem Rosser, and it tells a story of him and his team being the first all-black team to win like the national championship in polo. And this book, while I was reading the book, it didn't feel like an autobiography. It didn't feel like your typical nonfiction book. It read like almost in the way you would read a fiction book. I don't know. It was just kind of like the way that he was telling his story was really poetic to me, and it was like written beautifully. I thoroughly enjoyed the book. Learning about his life, learning about all his hardships, growing up in Philadelphia with a single mother and with 5 or 6 siblings. He pretty much, him and his brothers and friends are out lollygagging in the streets. They come up on this ranch and they sneak into the ranch. They see these horses, so they sneak into the ranch, but come to find out it's actually like the lady who owns it like runs like a riding club or work to ride type of program where you work around the ranch and you do this and you learn how to ride the horses, and she teaches you polo, whatever, yada yada yada. And there's a part in the book where it was probably one of the most heart-wrenching things I've ever read, when he's talking about one of his friends, because he talks about like times in his life when he's lost. He talks about, you know, his family, his friends, and it's just so, I can't really describe it. It's just really, really well written. Such a beautiful book. I would advise listening to the audiobook, because I feel like with autobiographies, I always feel like listening to the audiobooks are just so much better. You get the story and it just really comes alive. Even though he didn't read it, like there was someone else narrating it, it still just comes alive so much more. So yeah, thought it was great. Would recommend you reading it. Highly, highly recommend you reading it. I loved it. The next book was actually Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. Now, I talked about this book in one of my previous videos. Let's do a book haul, I think it was the name of the video. I'll put a thing up here. I don't really know how to review this book because it did not meet my expectations. I just thought this book was going to be so much more than what it was. I can appreciate the book for like the representation for the Asian community, and I was happy to see it, happy to support, and I was grateful for like obviously different stories. This book is about a group of college-age students who are going to pull off a heist, a different heist, to steal back all the Chinese art that was stolen and put into museums. And I don't know. It's less about the heist and it's more about the friendships, which I wouldn't mind at all, but it just felt like, I don't know, I feel like it dragged a bit in some places. So I think I would have to either try this again, which I don't know. It's very rare for me to try again with books, like rereading books. Like, I don't know, it's just not my, if I feel like once I've read a book, I've read it. I've yet to find a book that I wanted to reread. Unlike TV shows that I can rewatch a million times, I'm just not that guy. I'm not that boy, I'm not that man, and I never will be, and I don't care how you feel about it. Once I've read a book, especially if it's a good book, I still won't reread it. I'll just think about it a lot and I'll revel in my time spent with it. But once I've read it, okay? So I don't know. I really didn't care about the characters as much as I thought I was going to. I don't know. Yeah. Moving on. The next book I read was The Other Black Girl. I had heard so much about The Other Black Girl. I wanted to love this book, but I'm gonna let you know right now I did not like it at all. And that's just what it is. I am sorry. I wanted to love it, but I did not, and it hurts my soul to say that. But yeah. I read some reviews and I was like, these people tripping. They crazy. This book is about to go. It went. It definitely went. It definitely went. It just didn't go where I thought it was going to go. I should have listened. When so many people say certain things, you kind of feel like, oh, this might be true. This might be true. And it wasn't like, oh, the bad reviews, because I'm always like, okay, I'll see it for myself. But everybody kept saying, you can literally read the end of this book and that's it. And that's true. Because nothing happened. Nothing happens until the last 40, 50 pages, like everyone said. The Other Black Girl is about, that was the first book I read last month, so I'm gonna have to go all the way back because I don't remember homegirl's name. Did I write notes? Oh, I must have not written anything. Is it how much it pissed me off? Oh, well, I mean, I couldn't really write notes if nothing happened. Nella, that's her name. Okay, yeah, I never would remember that in 5 million years. So, Nella is the only black girl that's working at this publishing company, and she longs for someone else that looks like her, that she can connect with, that to work with, because she deals with so many microaggressions. She deals with just flat out racism, and she's sick of it. She's sick and tired of it. So, in comes Hazel. Hazel begins to work here, and she thinks they're about to connect, they're about to be tight, they're about to be stuck together, true blue like glue. No. Hazel becomes the office darling, and which is pretty much in the synopsis, and things start to go awry from there. And it's supposed to have like a supernatural, like, you know, aspect of the book. We don't get any of that until the very end of this book. And then we have inserts where people are narrating, and I didn't know what was going on. Like, people would pop up out of nowhere, and I didn't know if I was reading in the past or in the future, in the present. I didn't know what was going on. Nella starts getting these notes telling her to leave the company or else, and she thinks it's Hazel doing this or someone else doing this to me. So that's where the supernatural part comes in. That's when it's supposed to be the whole get out aspect of it all. But after, you know, a few notes, it's just every day Nella's going to work and dealing with the same microaggression she's been dealing with, while also suspecting Hazel of being like, you know, the person who's doing it, and Hazel just steady moving up and, you know, being this bright shining star. And we never really get any answers until the very, very end of the book. And when you get the answer, it's dumb. It's just, it was not worth my time, and I want it back. I want it back. And I deserve to have my time back. Read the synopsis and then read the last 40, 50 pages, and there you go. Because there could have been so much in the middle that could have just been taken out. What was the issue? The next book is 800 Grapes by Laura Dave, and this is my third novel I've read by Laura Dave. She wrote The Last Thing He Told Me, which I absolutely adored, which I loved. I reviewed that in a previous video. It hit for me. My little bone. And I also read Hello Sunshine by her. I didn't really care for that one. Yeah. And now we're at 800 Grapes. I didn't really care for this one either. So The Last Thing He Told Me, still #1 in my book by Laura Dave. Now, the 800 Grapes is about this girl. What is her name? What is Ogre? That's the thing. I didn't remember that woman's name until I was about halfway through the book. I was reading and I was paying attention, and I didn't realize that I didn't know that woman's name. That's how insignificant that woman felt to me. Like, she just wasn't memorable to me. She didn't stand out, and I almost felt like she shouldn't have even been the main character of the book, and it was about her. I don't know. I don't know. But her name is Georgia, and basically we start with her leaving and running back home to wherever she was in California from LA when she's supposed to be getting married. She shows up back in her hometown running from her fiance because she's found out he's done something and it's unforgivable, so she has to go. And when you find out what the reason is, it's not that it didn't matter. I just feel like it could have been discussed. It could have been solved by a simple conversation. If she would have just picked up the phone or if she could have just went home to the man and talked to him, we wouldn't have even needed this book. So it started off bad for me with that. Like, girl, you could have just talked to the man and all this would have been null and void. We wouldn't even be here. She goes home and her parents own this vineyard or whatever, and like they make wines, yada yada yada. That's where the name of the book comes from. It takes 800 grapes to make a bottle of wine. Her father is getting ready to sell the vineyard, she learns, and her mother their marriage is not, the solid unit that she once believed it to be. Her twin brothers are at odds. One is a savvy businessman. One works at the bar that the two brothers bought together, and they're fighting. And it's a family drama, so my specialty, but not a good one. I didn't care about any of these characters, and I would give it like 2.5 stars. Like, yeah. What's Mine and Yours by Naima Coster. I just got this book not too long ago. I talked about it in the haul I did, and I was like, oh, I'll get to it eventually, but something came over me. I was in the mood for it, so I read it, and I was not disappointed per se. It just wasn't what I expected. This book is about two families, one black, one pretty much white, but the mom is white, the dad is Colombian, I think, yeah. With What's Mine and Yours, the book is set in North Carolina. We start off in 1992. Started with this character named Ray. He owns a bakery. Well, he doesn't own it. Pretty much, I guess you could say his godmom. She owns the bakery / donut shop, and he works there. And he wants his own shop or wants to run the shop whenever she retires. He's dating this woman named Jade, and they have a son named G. Have these other two parents raising this girl named, I forgot her name that quick. Noelle, yes, Noelle. Raising Noelle and her two sisters. These two people are brought together because their schools have pretty much desegregated. I don't want to say desegregated, but it was pretty much just like, oh, all the black kids go to school over here, all the white kids go to school over here. And that's just how it's been for the longest. So they pull a bunch of the students from the black school to the white school, and these two families are brought together because these two people start dating, and over the next 20+ years, these families are supposed to be intertwined. That was the synopsis for the book. That is not what I got while I was reading the book. This book may as well just been about Noelle and her family. Like, they should have just marketed it that way instead of saying, oh, these two families are intertwined, because for the most part, G's family is stuck in like the flashbacks. We don't really get any present day, story on them. They are stuck in the past. everything in the future is all about Noelle and her family, and most of the flashbacks are also about Noelle and her family and her racist mother, her two siblings who I could not care less about. Like, wait, they told some back information on one of the sisters, and I was like, why are we doing this? I don't give a damn about this girl at all. Like, why are we doing this? So yeah, this was supposed to be about G and Noelle being in a relationship from the time they were kids to the time they were adults, and then their families, you know, orbiting around each other, being intertwined, or, you know, having to deal with each other. And that's not really what we get. Like, at times, yes, but for the most part, this is about Noelle, her racist mother, her no good dad, and her two siblings. That's what we get. And I also didn't really care for the fact that the two men in this story that were, one was black, one was Colombian, the two that were supposed to be like POC representation are kind of made out to be shitty people. While Noelle is made to be out, she's obviously flawed. She gets fleshed out more. She seems more complex. You know, there's good to her, there's bad to her. And her mother's racist, and we don't care. We hate the mother, Lacey May or whatever. And one of the few good men that was in the story isn't around for long. Like, you know, but I don't know. I would say a 3. I would say a 3. It's not a bad book, just not what I fully wanted from this. So yeah, the people we meet on vacation. I've heard about this book on TikTok. I've heard about it on YouTube. Y'all have talked about it. Y'all said it was this. Y'all said it was that. I kind of fall somewhere in the middle with people we meet on vacation. I didn't hate the book, but I didn't love it. My only thing with people we meet on vacation is, well, let me go back. Let me explain for the people who don't know. Alex and Poppy are best friends. They met freshman year of college, and every summer they go on a vacation together, just the two of them. In present day, Alex and Poppy are not speaking. They are on bad terms. They haven't spoken in 2 years, I believe. Poppy is this loose, fun, just do whatever girl, very much just happy-go-lucky, funky type of girl. Yeah, Alex is more by the book, straight lace, khaki pants, collared shirt, Sperry's on, and, you know, kind of like a stick in the mud a bit. Very sarcastic, all that. So we go through their life, through their story as friends, by visiting each of their vacations through time. My issue with this book it was like, I felt like 2 or 3 of the vacations could have been taken out. I'll say 2. 2 of the vacations I could have dealt without. I feel like the book started getting a little long towards the end. I was like, okay, can we come on with it? Yeah, I don't have any strong feelings about the book. Like, I don't have any strong feelings about it. Alex was funny. He was sarcastic and funny. I did like that. Poppy was, you know, she was a little funny. I like the banter between the two. I like the dynamic. It kind of reminded me of Will and Grace a bit if both characters were straight. That's what it kind of reminded me of. And there's one part in the book where Poppy says, you know, Alex takes a shower 2 or 3 times a day, or I'm more of the type, I think this is what she said, and I'm more of the type to bathe every 3 days. I was done with her there. Girl, you bathing every 3 days, you nasty. You nasty, you low down, and you dirty. And if I was Alex, I wouldn't have nothing to do with you. So there's that. I don't know. I don't know what to rate people we meet on vacation. It's like a 2.5 or a 3. No, I won't say 2.5. I feel like that's just, yeah. I would say a 3. A weak 3. Like, it was okay. I feel like it just wasn't for me. Like, it wasn't a bad book. I feel like the book was, it did what it was supposed to do. Like, I felt like it served its purpose. I just didn't, like, it wasn't my typical read. I said in the beginning that I loved most of the books that I read, and it doesn't seem that way. I feel like I told a lie. Like, now I don't know. Okay, Summer of '69 is exactly what it sounds like. It's in the summer of 1969. Excuse me. It's about this family. Hold on. Let me read the synopsis, child. This book is a family drama. We know I've said it many times before. I love a good family drama. Let's start with Kirby. Let's start with Kirby, who is the second oldest child. Kirby is a white liberal who is, you know, she going to marches with Dr. Martin Luther King. She, you know, she dating a black man. She didn't want to go to the Hamptons on vacation with her family. She wanted to go to Martha's Vineyard with her Indian friend. So she's all about, you know, hanging with the POC and, you know, power to the people and doing all that thing. But Kirby is very much a stereotypical white liberal, which means she will always default back to her whiteness. And it's like she's fighting against it through this whole novel, because every time she comes to a situation to where she can prove what she says she is, she fails. She shows up at somebody's house in a rich neighborhood with her Indian friend to go and meet someone else that the friend already knows. A black woman answers the door. She's shocked to see that it's a black woman, and she sees that she's dripping in diamonds. She's wearing a tennis court, and like, well, she can't be the maid if she's wearing this. Why is she here? Did you ever think, girl, she could own the house? So yeah. And there's little things like that that happen throughout the book with Kirby while she's learning to be more of a liberal. So there's that. We have Jessie, the little sister, the youngest, who is spending most of her days, you know, with a crush on the boy, living in her summer house that her grandmother has allowed him and his grandfather to stay there because the grandfather used to work the grounds, I think, pretty much. The grandmother is a widow who is just, you know, very hoity-toity, very judgmental. The mother of these children, she's also very like, she's kind of like high-strung and just wants everything to be right. The son Tiger has just been deployed overseas to fight in the war, and the mother is worried sick about him that she's pretty much just ignoring the other kids because she just feels like this is all her fault. This is all her fault for reasons that we learn later on in the book. And then the other sister, I don't even remember her name. What was her name? Blair is pregnant with twins, and she is not happy in her marriage. And so at one point she leaves and comes to the Hamptons with her family to spend time with them there because her and her husband get into it, and he just like really doesn't respect her in any way. Stereotypical like misogynistic man. You my wife, I don't want you working, I'll get you at home barefoot and pregnant, yada yada yada. For someone who's pregnant, Blair is drinking and smoking all throughout this book. I don't know what y'all was doing in the 60s and the 70s, but Blair is throwing back gin and tonics, vodkas. She is smoking cigarettes, doing all of the things. And her mother is, oh, you want a drink? Oh, you want a cigarette? Like, people around her are offering her these things. And I'm just like, this woman is pregnant. She got kids. And she lighting it up and guzzling them down. I'm confused. Is no one seeing the problem here? So, I don't know what y'all was doing back then, but that woman ain't had no business smoking the ciggy cigs and drinking the drizzy drinks. I'm sorry. Overall, I don't really think I would recommend this book. I know this author pretty much, I looked at her like her catalog, and it's all she does is write like beach reads, which is obviously not an issue, you know. But yeah, this is her thing, like, you know, beach themed books and all that. So yeah. I was really excited for this. It was just kind of okay for me. Alright, The Guncle. The Guncle was a feel-good story. At first, I was kind of like, meh. But overall, I liked The Guncle. It was a cool book. It's a feel-good story. It's about Patrick, who is not a washed-up actor, but pretty much reclusive at this point. He was the star of a big network TV show, and you know, he won a Golden Globe, which is his prized possession. He talks about it all throughout the book, and he kind of reminds you of if you mix Will and Jack from Will and Grace together. If you mix those two together, that's who you get with Patrick. So the basis of this story is Patrick has to pretty much take in his niece and nephew when their mom dies. Their mom was his best friend in like their younger years, and their dad is his brother. So this is his niece and nephews. And their dad is like dealing with his own issues after the mom dies, and he can't take care of them right now. So they spend the summer with Patrick at his house in Palm Springs. Yes, they spend the summer with Patrick in Palm Springs, and he's reluctant at first, like, you know, I don't got time to take care of no kids. I'm living my child-free single life, and I don't have the time. But in the end, he takes the kids, and over the summer, they grow closer, and they pretty much teach each other lessons. It was a good book. I did enjoy the book. It was funny. It's what you expect when you would bring a character, like, it was like watching Will and Grace, except for there was just one gay main character, and everybody else around him were supporting characters. And yeah, like the kids are funny in the book. One of the little boy has like a little lisp, and like there's a good banter. He talks to them like they're pretty much adults. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it. Like I enjoyed Gunkle. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Two more books, and I will let you all go. So, The Damage. So, you have Tony, Nick, and Julia are pretty much the main characters of this book. So, Nick is a gay young man in his early 20s. He's in college, and he is a victim of sexual assault. And his big brother Tony, who's like 17 years older than him, has been more of like a father figure because they have the same dad but different moms, and their dad basically was no good, and Nick's mom pretty much the same, no good. So Tony pretty much raised him. Julia is married to Tony, and she used to be a lawyer. So when they find out what happens to Nick, the law is not moving fast enough. The law is not doing what it's supposed to be doing according to Tony. So he's kind of taking matters in his own hand and getting justice for his brother. And Julia is also, you know, trying to do things the right way. So we go back and forth between present day, which is 2016, 2017, I think, in the book, to the time when these things would happen, which I think was 2009, 2010. Yeah. So the book is a little slow paced. It's a little slow paced, but I did enjoy it. I didn't too much care for the ending at first. It wasn't the ending I wanted, but overall I did enjoy the book. And I feel like the author did a good job once I got into the book. Like, it always takes me a little bit to get into it. So I would give this book like a 3.5 of 4, I think. Yeah. Like a 3.75. 3.75. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and the last book is Swimming in the Dark, and by Tomas Jadrowski. I think that's how you pronounce it. So these college students are at this agricultural camp because it's like for a class that they're both in. They've seen each other around campus, and then like towards the end of their time at the camp, they like finally have an interaction and they start this secret love affair. And then they end up on opposite sides of like a political matter that's going on in their country. And so it's like they are dealing with, you know, being on the opposite sides of that, but still like having an attraction and a love for one another. And we go from there. I thought the story was very well written. It was like a beautiful love story, with tragedy and all of the things that we've come to know. And I won't say love. I feel like whenever there's a queer story being told, there's always some big tragedy where no one gets to end up happy, and it's just everyone's dead and everyone's sick and oh my god. there were moments of the book where I was just like, okay, we know where this is going. We know where this is headed. Like, both of y'all, like, y'all don't belong together. Y'all don't belong together. When it comes to politics, if you have a very hard degree of separation, it's like, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work. It's not going to work. You can't be in a marriage where somebody thinks about, not that these people are married. You can't be in a marriage where someone says, oh, I agree with abortion, and someone says, oh, I disagree with abortion. Like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not going to work. I personally don't think you can be in a marriage and be like, oh, I am an atheist, oh, I am a Christian. Now, you are human and you have the right to be whatever you want to be, but I don't think those two people will mesh. If they do, it will take a lot of work, a lot of extra work, and it's going to be very, very, very hard for those two people to build a household together. So, these two people being on opposite ends of this political matter that is waging war on their country, where the price of food is going up, like freedom of speech is, you know, being threatened, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So the ending of it is not a secret. Like, you pretty much get that in the beginning. You know what's going to happen. It's just getting there. You're like, oh, all of this could have been saved. Like, we didn't even have to go through all this trouble. We should have just left this at a fun little summer fling and moved on with our lives. But I did enjoy the book. I thought it was beautifully written. A nice love story with the ending that we know is coming. And yeah, I would give it a 4. I would give it a 4. Yeah, that may change in the future. I may look back and be like, no. But who knows? So yeah, that's the 50 million books that I read. I feel like, oh my God, I feel like I was going on and on and on and on. But let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books. Like I always say, if you have, what did you think of them? Did you agree? Did you disagree with me? If you have not read any of them, do you think you'd give them a chance now that you've seen this video? But yeah, I'm trying to see, what were my favorites? Wahala, just, oh my God, like, girl, I don't know what was going on. Like, I still need answers. And that's all I really have for you guys in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, subscribe if you are not. Give the video a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments what you thought. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.